Hey everyone, so just wanted to get this video uploaded here. It's taken me a couple weeks to get around to it, just been busy with work and everything, but this video is from a bunch of clips I took when I was doing the engine mounts, replacing those as well as swapping in the new seats in the SI. Unfortunately, it's kind of a mess because I didn't realize at the time, but several of the clips that I did record, my camera didn't record them right, cut them short, kind of made a mess of things. So there are several clips missing, so I'll kind of try to fill in as we go here and explain what's missing. But I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully it's at least informative, if these are things you're thinking about doing. Okay, so I decided I wanted to swap the seats out on the Civic because the old ones, they're really good adjustable seats, but after 177,000 miles, they're pretty worn out, they're flattened out, there's not much cushion left in them, there's not a lot of lumbar support either. So especially on longer trips, like up to Denver, which I do pretty frequently, they are not comfortable. I also wanted something with a little more bolstering. I'm planning on taking the Honda to the track a few times. Maybe trying out some autocross type events, stuff like that. So it would be nice to have a seat with some better bolstering. So as you can see, here is the factory seats. And over here, I got some seats out of an 07 Civic Si. I've got quite a bit more bolstering on the top and bottom. They're just a lot newer. There's a lot of cushion. I gotta clean this one, but just kind of going through them. I already stripped this one out. I went ahead and removed the airbag module out of this casing, removed a bunch of extra wiring just for some sensors on the seats that I won't be needing or using. And then right now I'm working on taking off all the mounts, and then I'm going to pull the mounts off the old seats and either weld or swap those over so that I can bolt them into the car. So we'll see how it goes. Well, if anyone is curious, here's how you pull the airbag assembly out of an 07 Civic Si seat if you don't want it anymore. So you take the back cover off the seat. It's got 3 tabs that slide in at the top, and then these tabs along the side, and then 2 clips at the bottom, which tend to be very prone to breaking so far. But once you have that off, you're greeted with the back of the seat here, and your airbag assembly is mounted on the side pad here. So there are 2 bolts down inside, another 2 bolts here and here, and they're just little Allen heads. And then this entire assembly comes out. And then you can undo these 3 bolts here, and the whole airbag assembly comes out. And then I'm just putting this outer bracket back on to hold the seat back in place. That way at least I'm losing the weight of the airbag, and I don't have an airbag in a seat that's for a car that's not wired for it. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I bolted all 4 of the old mounts into the car temporarily, set the seat in, figured out where I wanted the front mounts. Now I've bolted the front mounts onto the vehicle using Allen head bolts so the rails don't hit them. And now I'm going to put these back into the car, figure out where the back ones need to be bolted to, mark it, pull them out, hopefully bolt those up in place, and then we should be good to put the seat in. So the first seat is in. Looks so good. Very comfy compared to the old ones as well. It's kind of temporarily in right now. See, I bolted it in with the old mounts. The only issue really, so it is held in with some bolts. I want to have a couple different people sit in it and see how it feels for them first before I weld it in place permanently. But I'll probably end up welding these mounts to the rails so that it's a little more secure than just the bolts. I don't want that to be a permanent solution. I also will probably end up You can see that rail's a little longer than the old one, so I'll probably end up cutting a little bit off the end of these rails just so it's not hanging out in the way like that. So there, I know I mentioned that I bolted the mount to the vehicle when I meant the seat, so I did make that mistake, so feel free to not roast me too hard. But yeah, the seats are in. I do still need to take them out and do something about those rear mounts because I do want to get them to sit a bit lower, especially on the back of the seats, because they aren't the most comfortable over long trips just because of the angle of the seats, and it is pretty hard to get into that vehicle with a helmet on just because the seats sit so high. So something I'll be working on in the future. So there's a lot of noise right now because they're tearing up our whole street, and they've been tearing up the road this whole week, which has been really fun getting in and out of my neighborhood. But got a couple quick hours here after finishing up work before I head off to the gym this evening. So we're gonna go ahead and try to replace these engine mounts that are completely shot. This guy down here can actually sit and rock the entire engine. So the two lower mounts I believe are completely broken. I'm going to go ahead and do these 4. I've got the transmission engine mount as well, but that one's going to take some more work, so it might have to wait for another day. But I'm trying to get this all ready for this weekend, and the engine flopping around is definitely one of my bigger annoyances right now. So let's see if we can knock this out. So we got the front end off the ground a little bit. Here's a quick, better view of this mount while it's still on the car. You can see that these are all supposed to be connected, and that is sitting just completely loose inside there. So to actually get the mount out of there, I had to be able to drop the engine down some, because the mount sits up here on this post and it runs into the fender there. So just used another jack with a block of wood so I could drop the engine down. So here's the final one. As you can see, once again, completely torn. And this is actually the rear mount off of the engine. I already got the transmission mounts done. There's one right there, and then under the intake the other one's right here. So this is the final mount. It mounts down off the rear engine, and then the cross member right here. So you have to lift the rear end of the engine up to be able to get it out of there and unbolted. So I got that out and just have to bolt the new one in, and then we'll have all new engine and transmission mounts. So there, what I was trying to show before the clip cut was that, so there's 2 mounts on the transmission side of the engine, there's 2 mounts on the timing belt side of the engine, and then there's 1 on the back. And I did mistakenly call the mount on the back the transmission mount. That's incorrect. But what I was trying to show is that you have to pull the 2 mounts on each side together, because you have to be able to drop the engine down, get that lower mount swapped in and out, then raise the engine back up to do the side mount there. And as far as the rear mount, I was able to unbolt it and push up the back of the engine with a jack and get just enough room to pull that in and out. So, but those are in. It does help the engine sit a lot more solidly, I feel. My shifter still needs some work. My shift linkage is loose, but it overall helped the shifts just to feel smoother. The engine, you can tell, doesn't kind of flop around when you're shifting or accelerating rather. So overall, they did help a lot for being cheap little mounts, and I'm pretty happy with it. All right, that is going to do it for this evening. Got all 5 engine mounts in. Should make the engine feel a lot more secure, make shifting much better. But at least they're all in. Only took a couple of hours. Not a horribly terrible job if you got a couple of jacks and some time. So Saturday, hopefully we'll be able to spend most of the day on the car as well. I've got to get the driver's seat in, get all those brackets swapped over so I can bolt that guy in. I also need to put a little tip on the muffler, because I'll go ahead and show you. It has been running rich. That's something I am trying to fix right now as far as the code causing it. You can see the exhaust just ends too early, so it's also been melting that rear bumper. So I actually found out the other day that some of my extra piping from when I built the diesel's exhaust actually fits perfectly over the existing exhaust on this car. So I'm going to take a little piece of that, cut it at like a little angle, just tack weld it on hopefully, just to get the exhaust away from the bumper so it stops melting it, and so it's not sooting the bumper up nearly so bad. So, alright, so Saturday afternoon here. They're still tearing up the road. Working on the driver's seat here. I decided to try to do this one a little bit cleaner than my passenger seat went. So with the passenger seat, I honestly just air hammered, chiseled off all the mounts and ran with it. This one I'm trying to do a little cleaner, have a little better quality here. So I went ahead and I just drilled out all the rivets. These are held on just by little rivets on the stock seat. So I drilled them all out, popped those off. They came off super clean. The only one that's a little more of a pain is this back one. Already drilled out the rivet, but they welded both sides for whatever reason on this one mount. So I do have to cut that mount off, just a little die grinder, just zip each side. Not a big deal. So gonna get those off, and then I've already prepped this seat. It needs some cleaning. A slushy or something got spilled on it sitting in the last guy's garage. But I've already got all the mounts off of this one, so it'll just be a matter, once they're off of this old seat, we'll just line it up, drill it out, onto the new rails, bolt it up, throw it in, and hopefully this will be done pretty soon and be ready to rock and roll. Got them both in. The driver's seat definitely sits a touch higher than I'd like. It's going to be very interesting trying to stuff myself in here with a helmet. I definitely wish it sat a little lower, so I might have to redo maybe just the back brackets in the future and see if I can get this, I'll show you, to sit a little lower, because with the stock brackets holds it pretty far up off the floor, and if I redo these brackets, maybe make some custom brackets of my own, I could actually drop the back of the seat probably an inch to an inch and a half. So might have to do that. That would also give a better angle, because this thing sits pretty flat. It'd be nice if it was kicked up just a hair. I know that's one thing people who have sat in the passenger side said as well, was that it's comfy, but it sits very flat. If even the passenger seat sat more kicked up, it'd be more lax to just kick back in and ride around. So definitely something in the future plans, but for now they're in there. They look pretty awesome. I love that it's got the red SI logo as well as red stitching, which matches the red SI very nicely as well. So they're in. It's something. They'll work. The bolstering is very comfy. They're a lot softer, excuse me, softer than the factory seats. So I got to clean this one up, all that slushy stain or whatever, and then they'll be ready to go. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you did enjoy that. I do have some more stuff coming in the future. I'll try to be better about uploading. I do need to do a video that's kind of like a walk around intro to the car, because I keep posting all this stuff and I've never actually introduced you properly to the vehicle. So that'll be coming soon, but keep an eye out for it, and we'll see you later.